Do you think that filming Harry Potter movies was all fun and games? The cast would disagree, as most of them had quite hurtful scenes. How did Quidditch literally become a pain in the A for Daniel Radcliffe? Who made Matthew Lewis deaf in one ear? And why was Emma Watson on edge filming the final movies?
I couldn't stop crying. It's
not so funny sport. The series' main star was never a fan of filming his Quidditch scenes. Unlike Harry, who adored flying, Dan says it was the least fun thing he had to do on the franchise set.
Whoops.
All because it required sitting on the broomstick for hours on end. It's not a pleasant experience, it does hurt quite a lot, and it's not something I would rush back to, the Harry actor shared. Dan even said it made him appreciate the 7th film much more since there were no Quidditch scenes there. Rupert Grint would agree with him about the broomstick experience. Apart from the sore backside, the Ron actor got hit in the face with a quaffle during a training session in the Half-Blood Prince. Not fun. So it's no wonder that when Dan and Rupert hung up their broomsticks for the last time, they both felt quite relieved. Let's see what made other Weasley actors uncomfortable on the set. A room of stuffy requirement. The place where Dumbledore's army found a getaway from Umbridge looked amazing. Many fans would say that totally matched the description in the book. However, not all actors were keen on filming in the room of requirement. For example, James and Oliver Phelps didn't look forward to their scenes there as it was very hot.
I've never told anyone this, but I hated the room of requirement set.
The high temperature was mostly due to the numerous fireplaces in the room. And to make matters worse, the actors had to wear sweaters. James and Oliver's on-screen sister agreed with them. Although Bonnie Wright initially liked the room of requirement, she also had a problem with it.
And then I got really claustrophobic in it.
Yeah, and hot.
Because it's just like really hot. We had to wear those shoes every time we stepped into it because it was all mirrors. And then towards the end, it was just like too many people in one room.
So when it comes to filming Order of the Phoenix for the new series, let's hope that the set designers will create better conditions for their cast. We're pretty sure that Rupert Grint would want them to keep things safer too. Let's talk more about his experience. Night Down. The first film showed us how dangerous Lord Voldemort was and how loyal his servants could be. On the way to saving the Philosopher's Stone, the Golden Trio had to endure many troubles. Some looked realistic. Well, because they were pretty much real. Remember how Ron sacrificed his chess figure to let Harry win the game? Turns out the moment the Queen struck him was far more painful than Rupert had imagined. While filming the scene, the actor suddenly got hit in the face by a rogue rock. And he even got some bleeding. In the scene, where Ron is lying down, defeated and unconscious, Rupert didn't have to use much of his talent. He was actually in pain. Sure, it was only one of the first moments when he or his co-stars had to endure discomfort. Let's talk about another one. I must not torture Dan. Imelda Staunton mostly liked her time on the set. After all, it was interesting for her to put herself in the shoes of this tyrannical woman. However, there was at least one scene that the actress probably wished she could skip. While Umbridge enjoyed making Harry fulfill her detention assignment,
because you know, deep down, you deserve to be punished.
Yeah, that's creepy. Imelda hated filming this sequence. Sure, the actress wasn't actually making Dan carve the words on his hand, but the way the scene was filmed gave her a great deal of emotional pain. That touched into something that you think, gosh, we're all capable of great cruelty. It was a horrible, horrible feeling, the Umbridge actress said. For a few days after filming this sequence, Staunton still felt guilty. And of course, she dislikes her character as much as the series fans do. Now, what about another actress who also hated torturing her co-star? A Q-tip and temporary deafness. Remember the scene where Bellatrix holds Neville hostage at the tip of her wand? It looked pretty scary on the screen, but was even more terrifying in reality. It all started with Helena Bonham Carter's idea to use her wand as a Q-tip.
And just give his ear clean.
But she didn't consider one tiny thing: to warn her co-star about it. Unaware of her plan, Matthew Lewis made a seemingly innocent move.
As I put it in, he went that way, and I think it actually did draw blood inside his ear.
The brave Matthew kept on acting despite the pain. Only after they finished filming the scene did Helena find out what she'd done.
That was terrible. I felt really mortified.
Later, the actress felt even worse since Matthew had internal bleeding for 3 days and was deaf in this ear for some time. Curiously, it wasn't the only time the Neville actor suffered on the set, but his other struggle was more emotional than physical. Why is it always me? You certainly can recall how Neville was unlucky, especially at the beginning of the series. It turns out that the actor behind him had similar thoughts for some time.
Why is it always me?
Matthew hated portraying Neville as a teen, especially when girls were around. He was a slimmer young man than his character had to be, so the actor had to wear a fat suit and false teeth in most films, and it was hard for him to accept how it all made him look. I didn't mind it. Until I was 14 or 15 and there were girls on set, I was a bit like, why me? You can literally feel the pain in his words. Thankfully, the final film showed Neville as well as Matthew in his whole glory and won him many fans. And what about another star who stole the hearts of multiple girls? The most painful on-screen death. The ending of The Goblet of Fire came as a shock to everyone.
Kill the stag! Avada Kedavra! No!
It hurt all fans a lot to see Cedric Diggory die just like that. And it turns out that it hurt Robert Pattinson too, literally. Although the scene where Wormtail Avada Kedavra'd Cedric lasted about 2 seconds, it was painful to film. To create the necessary effect when the killing curse hit the poor Hufflepuff, Pattinson had a wire wrapped in his groin area. Needless to say, it led to a great deal of pain whenever the actor was launched backward. And do we have to say that it was more than one take? Robert had to endure this torture multiple times before the director was satisfied with the result. So, of course, he was relieved when it was finally over. Just like Emma Watson was after filming one of her seemingly easy sequences. A simple scene turned stressful. The Goblet of Fire's Yule Ball showed us the glamorous side of Hermione for the first time. But appearing in front of her friends and walking down the stairs was surprisingly challenging. On one hand, it was because Emma understood how important this scene was for Hermione. It was the duckling becomes a swan moment. I mean, there was just all of this pressure suddenly, she commented. But the pressure was one thing. Another thing entirely was that director Mike Newell bombarded the actress with his instructions. Your arms are swinging too much. You're walking too quickly. You need to walk slower. He's giving me a million different directions about how to walk down the stairs, Emma recalls. Although the actress did her best to keep up, it took a while before the director was happy with her job. And to make matters worse,
I got down about 3 steps and fell down.
You'd think walking down the stairs had to be the easiest thing in the world, right? Yet it wasn't Emma's only struggle on the set. Cold all the time. There was another Harry Potter director who required quite a lot from Emma. David Yates, who filmed the final movies, pushed the actress to her limits. As the characters hunted for Horcruxes in the Deathly Hallows, they lived in harsh conditions. To film it all as perfectly as possible, Yates decided to add realism to the set. So the actors had to work in a quite severe setting, and Emma was the one who struggled the most with it. The actress was so cold all the time that she could barely tolerate it. She even begged Yates to make things easier, but he dismissed her complaints, saying he needed that realism. Seeing the final result, Emma realized that he was right because their performance was immaculate. Yet she still remembers how hard it was. God, there were days where I just wanted to kill him, she said about the director. Meanwhile, Emma wasn't the only person who suffered from cold on the set of the Deathly Hallows. Swimming in the lake. Remember the scene where Harry, Ron, and Hermione jumped into the lake while escaping Gringotts on the dragon? If you think that they did it in a warm studio and it felt like submerging in a nice bathtub, you couldn't be more wrong. Turns out the lake was unheated, and in the second part of the scene they had to take off their clothes, which made them even colder. Emma was a bit luckier this time as she didn't have to take off the bottom half and could have her thermals underneath. As it usually happens, the sequence required far more than one take and long hours to film. Rupert even thought that his heart had stopped beating at some point. That's how cold he was. So for sure, everyone was happy when they finally could return to the warmth. Well, however horrible all those things were, the pain was worth the final result. Share in the comments below if you agree, and then watch other Harry Potter videos on OSSA Movies.